And now, turning our attention to chilling and inspiring stories of survival, a new documentary called Heroes of the Holocaust, 80 years since liberation, shares the heroic accounts of survivors who took part in this year's March of the Living at the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp in Poland. The documentary will be screened for the first time on I24 News at the top of the hour, because today is Holocaust Survivor Day. And so, before that screening, it's a pleasure to welcome to studio Holocaust survivor Irene Shashar and Michel Gourary, the European Director of March of the Living. What an honor to have you both here in studio. Thank you so much. Today is Holocaust Survivor Day, 80 years since liberation. Irene, you were born in Warsaw. You have just attended the March of the Living in Poland. Talk to us about your thoughts right now.
Well, the experience of the March of the Living this year, for me, was exciting. 80 years, and here we were, survivors, walking on two, as they say, and hugging each other, and sharing experiences that we survived and how we survived and what our feelings are in the world. It was quite an amazing journey, accompanied by the October 7th circumstances that were going with us. And you know, as I was stepping on the train rail of entering into Auschwitz, I felt I was walking with those that were still in Gaza. And I was sort of accompanied by them. You know, it was like a brotherhood. Here I was, a survivor of Second World War, and my brothers and sisters were not able to breathe because they were inside tunnels. And how well do I know what that means?
Goosebumps just listening to you talking about exactly that, looking back at the history and knowing what is happening right now inside Gaza. 58 hostages still inside the terror tunnels, held in terror captivity. Michel, all the more important right now to have March of the Living, all the more important that people hear first-hand accounts of what happened, that there is no distortion of any history, that the truth will be told.
Absolutely. That's the educational mission of the March of the Living. It's the largest educational program in the world for the Holocaust remembrance, and we have to fight against distortion, denial, in the same way that you have also to fight against distortion and denial of what happened during the 7th of October pogrom. So we engage a lot of non-Jewish also students. We have this year more than 3,000 Holocaust survivors, we have 82 Holocaust survivors, but we engage also 3,500 non-Jewish high school students. We are their teachers. 1,000 came from Austria, 200 from Germany. We have from Lithuania, from Hungary. And that's, I think, our main mission, to engage not only Jewish students and Jewish youth, but also the non-Jewish youth.
And Irene, to that exact point, how does it feel for you knowing the responsibility, the onus on people to tell their stories, and how important it is for people to hear them right now? You are doing that right now. You are doing that in this interview. You're doing that in this documentary. So crucial right now for future generations to know exactly what happened.
Definitely. Definitely, Benita. I feel, you know, as part of my setup as a survivor, to continue the chain of what happened to me, how I feel about life, how I feel about getting that heavy mochila off my shoulders and passing it on to the new generations. In 2020, I was at the United Nations, and I appealed to the world, never again, no more war. And look what happened to us October 7, 2023. In 2023, in January, I was at the European Parliament, and I begged the parliamentarians to fight, to speak out against anti-Semitism. Benita.
And look what is happening right now. In fact, earlier on in the show, we were talking about the terror attack in Colorado. One of the elderly people injured is a Holocaust survivor, and it's difficult to comprehend the pain that survivors are still enduring. The hatred exists. What can people do about it?
Well, first of all, we have to speak out. Then we have to implore the world to understand that we do not want wars. We want peace. We want the help of the world at large to fight anti-Semitism. I know what it meant to discriminate me, to undress of my humanity, and I know now what they are going through in Gaza, and my heart bleeds for them.
What was your reaction on the 7th of October when you heard what happened, when you understood the extent of the depravity, what was unfolding inside Israel?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a nightmare. It was early in the morning, and you know, you have sort of between the night and the day, the division there is sort of not clear. That same way it was. Unbelievable. It's not comprehensible what happened to us on October 7th, just as it is not understandable and comprehensible what happened to us in the Holocaust. But then we didn't have a state of Israel. We didn't have anybody to come forward. The world was silent. The world is silent today, too.
And that is so difficult to comprehend, so difficult to process. And that is part of your role as well, to make sure that people coming to Poland from around the globe learn and see and understand. What kind of reaction are you getting, particularly now, post-October 7th?
You have to know that the March of the Living, it's not only the annual March of the Living between Auschwitz and Birkenau. We are also doing in many cities of Europe, and you will see in the documentaries, 2 Holocaust survivors. We had with Eva Clark a special March of the Living in Mauthausen with non-Jewish students from Austria, and also with Naftali First in Buchenwald, also a march. So we are trying to educate the young generation of Europe and also of the world to understand what happened in the past in order to build a better future and to engage them to fight against anti-Semitism, hatred, and racial bigotry. So the fact that we are now all over Europe, in Thessaloniki we are marching, we are also marching in Buchenwald, we are marching in Strasbourg, we are marching in Berlin, in the street of Berlin, we are marching in Vienna, we are marching also in Riga, in Vilnius. So we are trying to reach out a lot of Europeans, especially non-Jewish, in order for them to understand what exactly the reality of Israel, what happened during the Holocaust, and what also happened during the 7th of October. It's the second year that we have a delegation of the 7th of October, Otef Aza. We have also last year, and we have 8 Holocaust survivors who participate in that delegation, who bear their testimonies and their witnesses. So for us, it's super important to have them and to bear this testimony, the legacies of all the Holocaust survivors. For us, as Elie Wiesel said, whoever listened to a testimony became a witness. And that's exactly our role, to educate young generation, to be the next generation of witness and to be also their testimonies.
And so important that you are telling the story. We can see the book you are holding up on our screens right now. Irene Shashar, Michel Gourary, thank you both so much for being here on studio on Holocaust Survivor Day. The documentary Heroes of the Holocaust, 80 Years Since Liberation, will be screened shortly at the top of the hour here on I-24 News. Thank you so much for speaking out, for your message of strength and unity and resilience. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you for having us.